we're blessed to share the planet with these wondrous creatures. It should not be in our time that they meet their final end.
I'm Dr. McNally MP from Falkirk, and I'm here today with Duncan McNair, who's the Chief Executive Officer of Save the Asian Elephants. If you didn't know, the Asian elephants are in peril. So Duncan, could you tell me a wee bit about how you become involved in saving the Asian elephants in the first place?
Yes, certainly. Well, I am originally qualified as a lawyer and I practice as such, but I've always been interested in animal welfare issues. And some years ago, I started to hear horrific stories about the terrible abuse of ever-dwindling numbers of Asian elephants in tourism. And the stories I heard of the torture and abuse of elephants was so terrible that I organised a visit to India and had a look around, and I was so shocked. The sad situation with Asian elephants is that babies are snatched from the wild, their mothers killed who try to protect them. They're taken into brutal captivity, isolated, starved, and then beaten and stabbed with hooks and chains and spikes to break their spirits, as it's called, to terrify them into being easily usable in tourism. And to do rides, to do selfies, to do forced washing and play tricks and football and so on. All unnatural activities. Elephants have very gentle backs with spikes that go upwards in their bones that make it agony to have any heavy weight on them. And they do it through burning sun, no protection from boiling roads, often no water. They often drop dead of exhaustion. They're worked to death. And this is all done for money, for tourism. And you know, the real tragedy, John, is that so much of this tourism is generated in the UK travel market. There used to be millions of Asian elephants in the 19th century. They've been brutalised and beaten down to just 40,000, of which about 40% of those are in brutal captivity for tourism. It's a tragedy, and they're getting very near to their final stand.
So what would you like to see the government doing? We've just had the Queen's speech. Did that contain anything that gave you hope?
Well, really not. And many animal groups are horrified. And if I may say, the purpose of my organisation, the immediate aim is to get new UK law to ban the advertising in the UK of these brutal venues abroad. This is what our government, Mr. Johnson's government, promised. And sadly, it looks like he is doing a complete U-turn, despite colossal public support running at about 90% in every parliamentary constituency wanting this ban.
We certainly don't want to see any more animals dying out or going towards any sort of extinction that's caused, particularly by the inertia of legislation of government. And the UK has a responsibility, as you've just clearly explained. Most of the tourist industry comes from the UK.
Everyone must write to their Member of Parliament and to the Prime Minister demanding this law to ban these adverts at home of these horrible venues abroad. We still have hope, and we live in a democracy. It should function as a democracy. Now, if the people assert themselves and make it clear to the Prime Minister they want this law, they want to protect this noble, ancient and majestic species, and they want to put a stop to this brutal tourism in favour of ethical tourism, which is seeing elephants from a respectful distance, exhibiting natural behaviour in herds. This does exist, and more of it should happen. You can have sanctuaries with open fields and natural terrain forests where elephants can be seen from a distance. You can have overhead walkways where you look down to see them and so on. These places exist, and they should be the future.
To finish, could you tell us what other countries are doing?
Well, we started talking to other countries, we at Save the Asian Elephants. They are very receptive, starting with the 3 devolved administrations of the United Kingdom, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. And senior people there, as well as the people the public at large, are hugely supportive. And likewise, other countries, not just in the West, not just the USA and the European bloc and Australasia and so on, they're all very supportive. They're looking to the UK and its government to introduce this law, and then they will follow suit. And indeed other countries. We've got the world's biggest petition in history for elephants. 1.1 million and 32 million other supporters on other petitions. They come from everywhere in the world. So there is great hope, but we must act soon because the numbers of Asian elephants now are so depleted, really, by the brutal hand of man.
Well, thank you very much, Duncan, and for sharing your knowledge regarding saving the Asian elephant and bringing it to our attention today. And let's hope this message is received and acted upon as soon as possible.
I do hope so. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.